Good afternoon, Westlake sophomores. We have made it to our 10th grade year, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to think about just one short year ago when you all walked into the auditorium at Westlake High School as freshmen. Now here you are, standing in your success as Westlake sophomores. I want to take some time and talk to you about the fact that even though this year we are not starting the school year off with a face to face return, I do want you to know that it is still very important to keep your eyes focused on the goal. You still have classes that you need to pass, you still have the goal of graduation. And when I saw all 600 of you walk into the auditorium last school year, we set a goal to say that all 600 of us would then walk the stage in 4 years. I want to remind you of this goal at this time. I want you to keep the focus on the focus. Put your academics first. Make this year the best year ever. And without further ado, we are going to cover a few things that you need to know for our virtual school year this year. So, of course, you know that the focus areas for Westlake High School are student achievement, people and culture, and community collaboration. What does this mean? This means that any decisions that are made at Westlake High School are centered on one of these three focus areas. Westlake's collective commitments are about collaborative partnership, instructional ownership, and professional stewardship. Now, I want to talk about instructional ownership for a second. Instructional ownership is really a collective effort where the student takes ownership of his or her instructional goals and the teacher takes ownership of his or her instructional goals to ensure that we all are successful together. So students, what does that mean for you to have ownership of your instruction? It means that you're turning in your assignments on time. It means that you come to class present and ready to learn. And it means that you try to avoid missing days where perfect attendance is always the goal. So students, think about your part in the instructional ownership piece of our collective commitment. I also want to point out and remind you that we are an international baccalaureate school. And as you can see here, these are the pillars under which we operate as an international baccalaureate school. We are still in the phase of becoming fully certified as an international baccalaureate school. But students, I want you to realize that you too play a part in our distinction as an IB school. So again, students, please continue to do your work. Please continue to be globally minded, which means that you're not just thinking about yourself and your community, but you're also thinking about the world in which we live and how we learn and function and operate within those parameters. Let's talk about the PTSA for a second. Our PTSA has done an amazing job so far this year. This year, our PTSA is led by President Insa Womack. And when teachers arrived here this school year for the first day of pre-planning, the PTSA pulled together a parade of cars that came down the main drive of Westlake High School to welcome back all of the teachers and to show the community support behind Westlake High School. Well, students, why is this important? Because PTSA is not just for teachers, it's also for students. Any student at Westlake High School can join the Westlake PTSA for a membership of $5. What does your $5 do? It helps to fund a scholarship for a deserving senior student who is also a member of the PTSA. There are also some benefits that we will be rolling out for any student who joins PTSA this year. So students, please make sure that you join PTSA. And here's a slide of how much the dues are. Again, students, you can see that your dues or your responsibility if you join PTSA would be $5. So now I want to introduce to you our administrative team. Of course, you know that we are led by our illustrious principal, Mr. Jamar Robinson. This is our administrative team. We have Dr. Triaka Larry, who is our ninth grade administrator, and she supervises the CTAE and science departments. We have Miss Cecilia Johnson, who is our curriculum administrator. She supervises student services, PE, and the social studies departments. Now, students, I'm going to pause right here. If you have any concerns regarding schedule changes, you need to speak with your counselor, etc., Miss CC Johnson's department, Student Services, is the department that you would want to contact regarding issues with your schedule or anything related to your counselor, graduation, or student services. Of course, I am your 10th grade administrator, and I supervise math, fine arts, and the special education departments. We have Mr. Gregory Menace, who is our 12th grade administrator, and he supervises the English language arts, world language, and JROTC departments. We also have Ms. Charmaine Hankerson, who is over special programs. As you can see here, we have our Westlake academic support. We have Ms. Candace Hickman, who is our magnet coordinator, Ms. Wingfield, who is our IB MYP coordinator and also 11th grade administrator. We have Ms. Crystal Hilton, who is our instructional coach, and Dr. Shanika Henry, who is supervising as an instructional coach as well as the school improvement coach. Also new this year, we have our student intervention support team. This team consists of two existing teachers who were here at the school last year, Ms. Melissa Vaughn and Dr. Grace Love. Our athletic director, Mr. Carl Green, you all know him, and he supervises and supports everything related to athletics and sports. Here, students, you can see a breakdown of who your counselors are. A lot of times we get emails from students and parents saying, I don't know who my child's counselor is. So the counselor is broken down by the last name alphabet that you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. So please understand that if you need to reach out to your counselor for any reason, you should reach out to them according to the last name, the first letter in your last name. And of course, we also have Ms. Rhonda Hudson, who is our graduation coach. So let's talk a little bit about the history of our school and sort of what we stand for. A lot of times, students are not familiar with our Westlake Crest, although you may have seen it on different Westlake t-shirts, paraphernalia, and different insignia around the building. So our Westlake motto is what we are to be, we are now becoming. So we want to always keep that in mind. Of course, at the top of the Westlake Crest, we have the lion's head, which is also our school mascot. We have our lamp of knowledge that you can see there. And we also have dividers and gears, which support the mechanical arts. You can see the lyre and mask, which support our fine arts program. And as you know, we have an amazing fine arts program. Shout out to the dance program. Shout out to everybody that's in the band who was part of that Mr. Holland's Opus scholarship grant where we were able to receive instruments last school year. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't shout out our wonderful Teacher of the Year and also band director, Mr. Cedric Young. So students, you also can see that on the right-hand side of the crest, we have interlocked rings with a laurel and wreath. And what this means, or what this signifies, is of course athletics and the fact that our school was actually established during an Olympic year. So that is something that is important and significant, and not every school can say that they were established during an Olympic year. You can see the handshake of perpetual friendship across the very middle of the crest to foster that spirit of collaboration and community partnership. So I just wanted to take a few minutes, students, for you to kind of really examine everything that is on the Westlake Crest and for you to be familiar with what these things mean and stand for. So really quickly, just so that you're aware, Westlake High School was actually formed from two separate schools, Lakeshore High School and then Westwood High School. And those two schools joined together to become what was known as Westlake High School. This is a picture of the building that is next door that we now refer to as Old Westlake. When this particular school opened in 1988, there was an enrollment of a little less than 1,000 students. And as you can see now today, this is our building and this is where we currently reside. And this school has been open since 2009. And of course, as you know, we have a lot more than 1,000 students. We have doubled that number and then some. So just to keep you aware of the history of Westlake and sort of why we have the old Westlake and then sort of the new building now. So students, if you are new or if you are a returning 10th grade student here, we want to make sure that you know that you are welcomed and that we really appreciate having you here as a member and a true and proud Westlake Lion. Students, a couple of things that I want to remind you of. This school year, we do still have our lunch program, and you can see the prices per day and the cost per week for students to participate in lunch in the breakfast program. We also have meal distributions that will be going on each week on Wednesdays. So even though you guys are virtual, we still are passing out school meals at the back of the school on Wednesdays. So parents are free to drive through and pick up school lunch if you guys would like to still have school lunch. And those meals will be available each week on Wednesdays. So let's talk about how we are going to engage in virtual learning. Many of you by now, we're in the third week of school and you guys are very well versed in how to use Microsoft Teams. And of course, you know that this is the platform that we will be using for as long as we are engaged in our virtual learning environment. For this school year, you are going to access your virtual learning experience through the Fulton County ClassLink. If you are not familiar with how to find ClassLink, you are going to go to the Fulton County homepage and scroll down to where it says ClassLink in the bottom right-hand corner. You will click the icon. Next, you will see a screen that looks like this. Students, this is important because you will enter your FCS student number or your lunch number and then your student birthday. There are no dashes or slashes, and you must enter the 2-digit month, the 2-digit date, followed by the 4-digit year. Once you have entered your username and password, you will see a plethora of apps located within your ClassLink. You will be looking for an app with a red folder that says Microsoft Office 365. Once you click on that folder, you will see all of the apps within the Microsoft Office 365 open up as individual links. You will click on Microsoft Teams to access all of the classes and access all of the meetings for your schedule that is an Infinite Campus. Students, I also want to bring your attention to the fact that you can check your Fulton County email in this same Microsoft Office 365 suite. After you've clicked on that Microsoft Teams link, you can see that over on the far right, there is an icon for Outlook. This is where you will find your Fulton County email. So if a teacher or an assistant principal or someone else says, well, I sent this information to you on your Fulton County email address, this is the icon that you are looking for to access that particular email. All right, let's talk about virtual classroom conduct and how we are going to engage with each other and with our teachers in our virtual learning environment. We have some expectations for virtual learning, and we want you to know the following. All classes are going to meet virtually via Microsoft Teams, which you guys have been pretty well versed in how to use and how to access all of your classes and assignments. All students are expected to log into their first class no later than 8:15. Students, it is important that you are on time even in the virtual learning environment. Attendance will be taken daily, so if you are not in class, we will be taking that attendance, and that attendance will be logged in Infinite Campus. Students, we are asking that you refrain from inappropriate conversation in the chat or having any type of conversation across by using your mic to talk to each other during the time that instruction is taking place. Students, I also want to take just a second for us to be mindful of the profile pictures that we have on our Microsoft Teams application. Many of you have done a very good job, and you just have your face as your app or as your profile picture when you log into Microsoft Teams. However, there are a few of us that I've seen that have some inappropriate or not school appropriate pictures on their student profile. So students, I'm just asking you to take a moment, think about what your profile picture looks like right now and what it is. And if it's not appropriate, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to change that profile picture to something that is appropriate. Again, students, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying of any kind will not be tolerated, and misuse of social media platforms could result in disciplinary actions. All learning sessions are being recorded for each day in each class. So students, it is very important that you not misbehave in your virtual learning environment. It is also very important that you make sure that your profile picture is something that is appropriate and that is worthy of the distinction of being a Westlake High School student. Should something happen in the virtual learning environment, the teacher will simply send the recording of the class and any inappropriate behavior or activity that has taken place. That teacher will send that recording to the administrators, and then we will take care of the appropriate disciplinary consequences that coincide with the undesirable behavior. Some more virtual learning expectations. Again, students, I've already talked about student profile pictures and making sure that those are aligned to the Fulton County policy and that you are appropriately dressed and that you are not using any profane or vulgar gestures as part of your profile identity. Students, giving out your username and password information is a violation of Fulton County policy. Now, why is this important? Because you do not want anyone else logging in or taking on the appearance that they are logging in as you. Each student has their own username and password that is unique to them. Please do not share your username or password with anyone. Also, students, misusing someone's username or password to create a classroom disturbance in the virtual learning environment is a violation of Fulton County policy, and those students will be dealt with appropriately. Again, students, teachers are recording every session, so everything that happens in the virtual learning environment has an actual platform, and we actually have a recording. We still are enforcing dress code, students. We want you to come to the virtual learning classroom experience appropriately dressed. Please make sure that you are refraining from wearing anything that is of an offensive nature. There's no drug or gang paraphernalia that is allowed. And of course, we want you to stay away from clothing that reveals profanity or that has any type of inappropriate message on it. So students, let's talk about how to make virtual learning work at home for you. I want to give you some tips for success in our virtual learning environment. So the first thing you want to do, students, is to create a designated space for learning. So think about the space that you're in now. All scholars should seek out a place in their home where there's a table or a desk, so that way you can actually sit upright and be fully engaged in the learning process that your teacher has outlined for you for that day. Students should, of course, dress in the dress code that is appropriate for Fulton County policy. Students, please refrain from wearing pajamas, hair bonnets, and inappropriate attire as you come on camera in the virtual learning environment. Also, students, I'm asking you to consider an appropriate workspace for your elective courses. So, for example, think about how you will engage in your dance class or your PE class or even JROTC. More than likely, you won't be sitting at a traditional table or desk within your house. You will have to stand up and probably do some physical activity or movements. So just think about the best place for you to do that within your home, and then prepare that space accordingly. Utilizing a learning schedule and sticking to it. Students, I would advise that you keep a copy of the Universal Remote Bell Schedule so that way you have it at your disposal. I feel like you should ensure that you have access to paper, writing utensils, and charging cords. We know that your Surface laptops could die if they're not fully charged up, and you don't want that to happen during your virtual learning classroom experience. So have those chargers handy and charge your tablet overnight. That way, when you get up in the morning, you are ready to go. Also, ensure that your learning space is well lit and free from other distractions like TV or background noise. I know that when we're at home, students, it's really easy to kind of just hang out on the couch, in the bed, somewhere else. And that may not support you being in the best mind frame to actually engage in the virtual platform with your teachers and with the students who are in your class. So think about where you are actually going to have your virtual learning experience and try to turn off those electronic distractions that may take away from your ability to focus and learn. Also, students, it is important that you organize your work. Review with your teacher how to submit assignments and identify when they are due. A lot of these assignments in the virtual platform have a cutoff time by which the platform will not allow you to submit assignments. Or if you are able to submit assignments, you would have to do so at a penalty because you are submitting it late. So be mindful of how to find your assignments and be mindful of when you are supposed to submit those assignments so that way they're submitted on time and you don't miss a critical deadline. Additionally, maintain a notebook for each of your classes to provide a space to take notes. This is important, students, because even though you are virtual, you still want to have your notes so that you can go back and refer to them. Your notes will also support the recordings of the class sessions that you can actually go back and review. If you have forgotten how to do something in your class, if you don't remember a particular concept, you can always go back and look at the recording for that day and go back through the process where you are having a misunderstanding. Also, students, please ensure that you have contact information for each of your teachers. Every single teacher at Westlake High School has a Fulton County email address. You will have to become familiar with how to email and communicate with your teacher in the event that something is wrong and maybe you won't be able to make it to class. You would need to email that information to your teacher. You also would want to have an email address for your teacher so that you can communicate to them if you're having problems with an assignment or if you're trying to find a particular assignment. So please make sure that you have that information. And finally, students, check Infinite Campus early and often. We don't want to wait until the progress report time to start checking our grades and start making sure that we are experiencing the success that we know we're capable of. So check Infinite Campus early and often. Speaking of Infinite Campus and progress reports, I would like to point out the dates that we will be releasing progress reports this school year. The first reporting date is right around the corner, students, September 17th. All students will be getting a 6-week progress report. So students, we are 3 weeks in right now. We're halfway to the progress reporting mark. Ask yourself, am I passing all of my classes right now, 3 weeks in? Am I making the grades that I know that I'm capable of making? If the answer is no to both of those questions, this is the time to turn that around. I want for all of my 10th grade students to have A's and B's on their progress report for the first 6-week marking period. So students, let's set an academic goal and let's go ahead and achieve that goal. You can see the rest of the progress reporting dates here. We have a 12-week reporting date in October, and then of course the end of the semester will be on December 18th. I've also put the second semester progress reporting dates on the screen for you as well, so that you can see when you will be receiving progress reports. Students, your teachers will also be emailing your parents to let them know when progress reports are coming out. So that way we can all be accountable for academic achievement and how to support you in achieving your academic goals. Another date to remember, students, all grades 9 through 11 will be taking the PSAT. So the PSAT will be taking place on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. So just stay tuned for more information on the PSAT. The PSAT is also an opportunity for students who test high enough to qualify for a National Merit Scholarship. So students, please be on the lookout for more information regarding the PSAT this school year. Finally, students, I want you to understand and realize that we are all in this together. My name is Tasha Oliver. I'm the 10th grade assistant principal. I was your 9th grade assistant principal last year. You can see my email address there at the bottom of the screen. If you need anything for any reason, please do not hesitate to reach out and email me. Finally, students, normally we go over the student code of conduct during our class meetings. And there's a link right under this QR code that has the entire student code of conduct for the 2020-2021 school year. At this time, students, you are required to scan the barcode that is on the right-hand side of your screen, and you are going to acknowledge that you do have access to the student code of conduct. You are also acknowledging that by watching this presentation, you are aware of the consequences and expectations regarding your behavior and conduct in the virtual learning environment. So students, please take a second to go ahead and scan this barcode and fill out the form acknowledging that you have participated in this 10th grade orientation meeting, as well as acknowledging the expectations for virtual learning behavior and conduct. And of course, students, we are Operation A. I just want to end by saying we have only just begun. You have every right to be proud of your school. We are a B school. We have done some amazing things, from putting our seniors up on the billboards around Metro Atlanta to making sure that we are well represented and positively represented in our local news media outlets. We have only just begun. We are a B school and we are marching our way toward an A. And students, you are the ones that make the difference. You are the ones that take the test. You are the ones that make the grades. You are what makes our school great. So I want you to have an awesome day. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me should you need anything. I love you all, and I really appreciate the growth and development that I've seen in each and every one of you. Enjoy your day and go Lions.